This is Portland Paper, and welcome back to round number 2 of Modern Mondays here at Guardian Games in Portland, Oregon. I'm Travis Cooper, and I'm hanging out with,
Vinny Balistreri,
there we
back from
go,
round one.
our resident SCG champion that co-commentates with me sometimes. And we have round 2, Jeskai Delver versus Izzet Phoenix.
Izzet Phoenix? We think. It could be Mono Red Phoenix. We'll find out very soon. I know we can't see the players who are playing. These are two of my favorite players at Guardian Games. I think they both have this like low-key trust to them. Like if either Blaine or Z came up to me and was like, "Let me borrow your card," I'd be like, "Oh yeah, sure, no problem." But they're both very good, and I'm always very afraid when I sit down across from them.
I know that Blaine sometimes has a chainsaw in the back of his SUV because
How very Portland of
he's
him.
like, you know what? I might want to go off-road, and I might need to cut down some trees. So, if the apocalypse happened, I'd try to find my way to Blaine.
I think Phoenix is on the play here, which seems great in this pseudo-aggro matchup.
Yes, the recursive 3/2 flyers I think seem pretty favored against the 3/2 flyer that is going to mostly be a 1/1 in Modern because we don't have Brainstorm. But Blaine is playing a lot of Lightning Helixes, which can help buy time and out-tempo the Phoenix deck sometimes, and is playing Paths for Phoenix, so Snap Path is also pretty good.
Very good.
I think it's kind of up in the air for who's favored. Usually, like against a Jeskai deck, I like a deck that has recursive threats. So, but it might depend on who gets on the battlefield first, and if Phoenix is able to assemble an explosive turn 2 or 3.
True, and I see a Phoenix in Zeke's hand, so ideally turn 2 we want to see like Manamorphose into maybe Faithless Looting and a third spell to put those Phoenixes into play.
You want to Manamorphose into Devil Faithless Looting, discarding
All
quadruple
four Phoenixes.
Phoenixes and then Gutshot your opponent.
Sometimes they do it. Ooh, look at this mirror match play over here.
So the real question is, which island?
Is Blaine's the snow-covered island, or is it the island that's covered in snow? It is a snow-covered island, so maybe we're bluffing a gifts ungiven package.
Like, I'm playing blue-red Scred. Oh, well, there's a shock for
Manamorphose?
Zeke.
Oh, okay.
And a Thing in the Ice.
Not the explosive turn that we were just outlining, but I still think pretty good. Still gives Zeke a lot of play for the rest of the game.
Things sets up for a lot of pretty ridiculous turn 3s, where you can flip your thing and get a couple Phoenixes back attacking, all on the same turn.
And I think Blaine might also have a Thing in the Ice. The mirror match might continue.
Okay, a lot of times these matchups can
tough.
really hinge on if you're playing a thing mirror. Like the other creatures are a little bit superfluous, but we have a Delver, not a Thing in the Ice.
Who can flip their flip card first? That's the name of this round.
Well, I feel like Zeke might just want to kind of control when he flips thing. Like maybe Zeke could flip it currently, but is gonna hold off on that. You get an opt. See what's going on.
Or maybe just hold, not even bothering to flip the thing, but maybe just keeping up mana for a bolt after he gains a little bit of information from the upkeep trigger.
Have a fetch.
I'm gonna guess a blue-red land.
Nope.
Oh, just a blue land.
Just a blue. Currently at storm count 1. Storm count 2.
Gosh, double Phoenix. Here it is.
Yep, Lightning X. And is that the is that our little salamander?
A salamander? we're both leaning closer to the screen.
It's
like,
a
what is that
Pteramander.
card?
Oh,
There it
boy.
is. Okay. And now Zeke is just set up to flip that thing if he ever gets into trouble, right?
Zeke is in a pretty commanding position right now. You can flashback Faithless Looting if it resolves. Your Phoenixes are going to bounce to your hand. You discard the Phoenixes.
Yeah. That line seems strong. If you're Blaine, what are you hoping to have here?
Well, it's hard to deploy a creature because Zeke assuredly has spells in his hand. Maybe you're
Ooh.
hoping to bait the block with Thing in the Ice, but
Yep, yep. That's definitely the right play.
it's not Zeke's first rodeo and goes ahead and takes it 1 point of damage.
Maybe I am inclined to deploy another creature and hope that Zeke flips and doesn't have a way to rebuild his Phoenixes next turn. Blaine in the tank here, contemplating maybe how much longer he has
See a
left in
Path
this
to
game.
Exile.
Path to Exile seems pretty good.
You know, if I had the Path to Exile, I might wait for Zeke to go to an attack step, and then path the thing. But Blaine decides to go for it right now. The reason I would make that play is because usually the interaction that is played in the Phoenix deck and the main board is going to be an Izzet Charm. And so if you're just going to cast Path, Blaine would have 2 mana up to pay for the pseudo spell pierce ability of Izzet Charm.
He did attack with the Delver though, so maybe there's a Lightning Bolt in hand as well.
There's a Lightning Helix at least I saw hanging out in there, and a Snapcaster, which your Snapcaster paired with Path can be pretty decent against these Phoenix decks.
Yes. Ooh, and there we can see the Plains art, painted by Christopher Rush, also known for the Black Lotus, in 1995. I was 6 years old.
Oh, we're getting a story?
I don't know if I knew what Magic was. I don't think I'd started playing yet.
Okay, we have attack with 2 Phoenixes and a response by fetching.
Yeah, if it is a bolt, it's a little unfortunate to have to shock. You're sort of barely stemming the bleeding.
I guess you're conserving mana that way if you want to use all your mana the next turn.
Yes,
just taking the saving 1 point of life.
Mm-hmm.
Another thing.
Oh.
And ooh, Charted Course. Don't see that one too often. I'm gonna get to draw 2, and you know what? Not have to discard.
Blaine really wants to flip this Delver here, I think.
It's modern.
I know it never happens. But I'm feeling it this time. I think the Delver's going to flip.
It will be upgraded to a flying chump blocker.
Yep. But it can block. Which seems very relevant at this point.
So a pickup of a lightning bolt for Zeke. A scry. I think Zeke put another lightning bolt on top. This is gonna be a.
I think yeah. Blaine isn't playing around
hup.
the triple bolts.
Oh yeah.
Oh no flip. That was what we needed, I think. We have a Snapcaster and a Path, but that leaves him open to the triple bolts.
Attack double bolts.
Yeah, attack double bolt. I mean.
Ooh.
Oh yeah, he just has the triple bolt, so he's asking him to overcommit with that mana he has.
Does Zeke have 3 bolts? I know Zeke definitely has 2.
I thought I saw 3 in his hand of 5 cards.
Because the block leaves you open to a lightning helix right now.
Oh, that does seem good. That seems good. But if he does have 3 bolts, which I think he does, that still won't be good enough.
Moot point.
Maybe a Vapor Snake?
Well, how many do we get? There's lots of...
And that's it. Can't play around the triple bolt.
Yep. No.
I don't know that there was a line there that Blaine could have taken. I think he took the best line possible. I don't know if there was a line there that would have saved it from triple bolts.
No. The line of having your Delver flip.
Yeah, that was really what he was looking for.
I feel like that's when you sign up for a modern event. You sort of are throwing that line to the side. You're like, oh, I meant to register Brainstorm.
Ooh, I think I see Zeke putting in a little young pyromancer action.
It does seem if you're against a deck who is going to have a lot of exile effects, perhaps some rest in pieces, a lot of removal, young pyromancer can be a way to just go very wide.
Do you know, is Blaine on all 4 helixes? Is he playing 4?
I am not sure. I would assume so because Helix seems like a very strong card, even stronger than Lightning Bolt in the format we're
right now.
hanging out in right now. I'm curious if Blaine is what the Graveyard Hate package is. Usually Surgical is very good against Izzet Phoenix, especially if you have a way to recoup the life loss like Lightning Helix. Rest in Peace is not always that great. They have a lot of other threats like the Drake and Thing in the Ice.
Or the young pyromancer that we saw Zeke boarding in.
Correct. But Surgical is rarely ever awful against the deck because they're so threat light usually. You've got 4 things, 4 Phoenixes, 2 Drakes, sometimes 2 Swift Spears that even if you can, like, say, counter a Thing in the Ice and Surgical it, you've taken out a good chunk of the threats that the deck has left in it.
Yeah, the ability to recur Surgical with Snapcaster as well, so getting an early Surgical to turn 2 Snapcaster Surgical again seems worth 4 life because it cripples their threat volume.
Yeah, that is a way when I've played Snapcaster Surgical decks that like you can literally run your Phoenix opponent out of threats.
Yeah. I like that I don't know which pile is Zeke's deck and which pile is his sideboard right now. There's a lot of piles of cards on the table. Just shuffle it all in, all 15.
So I imagine Zeke is boarding in young pyromancers. Usually there is a Rowl hanging out in the sideboard as a one of. I think you do board it in this matchup. You want to have diversify your threats and have more threats.
I'm gonna vote against the route.
Yeah.
I think it's too slow. I think that you can be the aggro matchup and you can pressure fast enough that you don't want the game. You don't want to be resolving a Rowl on turn 5. You want to be like flashbacking your Faithless Looting, like building more Phoenixes, digging further, burning them.
The reason why I disagree is a lot of the advantage that Izzet Phoenix gets is by intentional card disadvantage where you're using another resource like your graveyard. If your opponent is able to answer that, you've just gone down a lot of cards and don't have a good way to recoup them. And really, you only have the Drakes in the deck for that. So Ral adds, like, if you've outgassed, a way to gas back up when you're in the mid game.
All right, that's fair.
But who's to say? I feel like it's a matter of play style.
Maybe the -3 also is good if Blaine is playing his own Thing in the Ices, which I wouldn't fault his deck for playing, or maybe just another big threat that they're trying to find a way to get rid of or get through.
I think Blaine is on. He could have changed his list, but I've seen Blaine play before. Is on 4 Delvers, I think 4 Pyromancers, 4 Mantis Riders. 4 Snapcasters.
Oh, okay.
I'm unsure if Blaine is playing Monastery Mentor. I don't think so. I think it just may be a little bit too mana intensive.
Yeah, maybe just a little too slow for Modern. That card's really a 4-drop, right? Casting it on turn 3 doesn't do much.
Yeah, now that Gataxian Probe is no longer in the format.
So sad.
It's very sad. I mean, Gutshot is sweet in a deck like Phoenix where you actually need that trigger sometimes to turn 2 recur your Phoenixes, but in general, Gutshot's a pretty bad card, I would say. Agree? Disagree?
I mean, I'm like forced to play it sometimes in the sideboard, so I will agree with you that I think that card's really bad, and it's an unfortunate thing that I have to play. Both players mulliganing to 6, it looks like. Both keeping at 6, which is great.
Are we going to see turn 1 Delver?
Turn 1 Delver, turn 2 flip would be insane. I would lose my mind.
I'm curious if the Delvers even stay in after sideboard.
I was thinking that too. I was like, maybe Delver isn't even good enough. Maybe you just like board it out for something else.
Seems like the game might revolve around more like young Pyromancer.
Yeah, you're going to be playing a little bit slower, a little bit longer game post-board.
Yeah, playing a Delver in a Gutshot against a Gutshot deck. That's got to be simple bad.
Sad, yeah.
And I imagine Zeke might keep in the Gutshots just because it does hit Snapcaster Delver,
Oh yeah. Well, and I think too, again,
Young
you
Pyromancer.
yeah, you want Phoenix as Phoenix, you want to be the explosive player, and Gutshot helps enable that.
They always have it.
Oof. Always have the thing in the ice.
Whenever I can spell snare a turn 2 thing in the ice from Phoenix, I feel like I've just won the game.
Yeah, I feel like a champion. Maybe Blaine has a hand of Mantis Riders, since we're not seeing a lot of other plays here.
I've always wanted to, so I don't play a thing in the ice deck, but I've
Mhm.
almost been tempted to just so I could have them altered to be like the thing from John Carpenter.
Oh
So,
yeah.
Oh,
Well, we'll see the Mantis Rider.
Instead, we have a shock and path. I could see doing that main phase, especially game 2. Phoenix sometimes boards in Dispels. It seems like it's just a one of. In most sideboards, you're on 1 Dispel, 2 Spell Pierce. But, you know, there's never for sure set list. It's a very new deck. People were splashing white for a while, and now there's like
Splashing green,
but actually using it in the main board. So.
Yeah. It could be that Blaine also has a Snapcaster Mage, so he's a little less worried about running that path out early.
This could be an issue.
0-4? Am I doing my math right?
It does live through Lightning Bolt and is going to demand a path at some point.
Okay. Whoa. I love it.
Well, that's some card disadvantage. Echoing Truth and Crackling Drake. Maybe Blaine has a counterspell for it on the way back and doesn't want to waste a path on it. Yeah, we get Figure of Destiny.
Ooh. I think also Blaine puts himself... he now is taking control of the board and putting himself in the seat of the attacker, which if that Drake lives, he loses that advantage. So I really like that Echoing Truth.
Manamorphose Resolves.
Oh, the most powerful card in the deck. And here you can see what Figure of Destiny does. Quickly levels up to become a 2/2 and then a 4/4 next turn, which is where Blaine can put it.
And I get a Drake and it resolves.
Snapcaster Path to Exile? Well, even making the figure a 4/4 though allows him to keep pressuring.
We have Snapcaster Path on the Drake.
Yeah, called shot. Ooh. I mean, that's probably great.
Yeah, so in that whole exchange, Zeke ended up 3 cards. Drew 2 off the Drake, had the Drake. Blaine had to waste 2 spells on dealing with the Drake. So.
Yeah, but here we are going to see Blaine start to build that board and start to hopefully be able to go wide around whatever threat Zeke plays.
It feels like chaining cantrips is going to be the best way to do this.
Yeah, and even if it's Thing in the Ice, giving Blaine a Snapcaster back probably feels a little awful. What is that? What does it do?
Beacon Bolt.
Damage equal to the number of instants and sorceries in graveyards and in exile. Crackling Drake in a spell.
Faithless Looting going on? Are we going to have any...
Pitching Phoenixes?
How many are we going to pitch? Just one.
Alright.
Alright.
Pitching that Faithless Looting, though, is going to feel real good next turn.
I am sort of surprised how both players have used a lot of resources. Zeke just has a Phoenix left over for the troubles.
With Jumpstart on the Beacon Bolt is interesting. Basically sitting there for the rest of the game, likely, to answer any threat that Blaine puts down.
And another Drake.
Yikes.
This Phoenix deck is just so efficient at making like every interaction of the cards that you play have a little bit of additional value.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah. Every card furthers its engine every single time.
And the engine is pretty diverse. It's like, oh, some graveyard stuff, but also like exile pile and also like storm count, and all the
Yeah.
things work together.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like the worst card that Zeke has played this game has been the gut shot, and even that killed something that was never going to be killed later in the game.
All right, Blaine's going to scoop it up, and we have a lot of
Yeah.
time left here, and so we don't want to just hang out for 25 minutes. So we're going to scope the room and get another match in this feature match area for the second half of round number 2.